I just had a meeting with Mark Zuckerberg. We talked about the future of work. I took notes on my laptop with my ghost hands. That's because we were meeting in VR with Facebook's new workspace called Horizon Workrooms. Horizon Workrooms is a VR app, and to use it, you need an Oculus Quest 2 headset. This is Facebook's VR headset that's been out since last fall. The idea is that you put this on, and then all of a sudden you're in some sort of a workspace with a whole bunch of other people moving around and talking and sitting at your desks. There have been other VR apps like this. Spatial has something like this that I've tried in the past year or so, where you get to meet with people and you get to walk around virtual things. Microsoft has a new tool called Microsoft Mesh that's looking to do a similar thing with holographic avatars in AR and VR. But where Facebook's Horizon Workrooms gets a lot weirder and more interesting is that it takes your computer with you and your desk. So when I did the demo, I had to scan my desk as part of the experience. Oculus actually had this tool built into the Quest 2 to bring your desk and even some keyboards into VR to type and work on that screen that you're wearing on your face. Now, Workrooms also pulls off another trick. It casts your computer screen into the VR experience. And what it feels like is it displays a hovering screen in front of your desk, kind of like a disembodied monitor. Between that and my keyboard, which I could see floating in front of me, I felt like I had a computer that I could work on. I was working in Slack, I was doing Google Docs stuff while I was attending the meeting, which was crazy. That's the thing about VR right now is you put on the headset and then you're trapped in this world where you can't get back to your other devices. If you're diving into this virtual universe, why can't you take your other tech tools with you? The other thing you can do in Horizon Workrooms is draw on a whiteboard. There's a really clever trick where your controller can flip around and become a marker in the world. So if I write on my actual desk, it turns into a drawing that I can then post onto the whiteboard. And even the table that you're sitting at can change configurations. We were all sitting at this multifaceted circular table that looked like we were all together, but I could feel my own desk surface. That can reconfigure into a different type of conference room table, or even rows like a classroom where suddenly we were all looking at a whiteboard and then we went back again. But it's pretty much a seated experience. Facebook's starting with laptops, and it's a beta app, so things were a little weird. Like Mark Zuckerberg dropped in to talk to me and a bunch of other reporters in that room.
The idea is like you go in wherever you are, you can have your perfect setup, you can have all your different monitors. People can stop in and collaborate quickly, but it's really great for kind of focused work, and that will get better over time. The second area is around collaboration, which is really what this is focused on, which is the notion that like we shouldn't really have to physically be together to feel present or collaborate or brainstorm.
Sometimes my hands didn't always move the way I wanted them to. There's hand tracking, which happens via the Oculus Quest 2 front cameras. So you can move your hands around, point at people, or wave. Sometimes that drops out or it gets a little jittery. It might look like I was raising my hand when I wasn't. And then finally, there's the fact that you're a cartoon avatar. Now that's because when you're working in VR, there's no camera that's looking at what you really are looking like in the real world. Now, in a whole world full of Zooms and Hangouts and FaceTimes, we're used to seeing ourselves flat and our actual faces. VR flips that so that you're able to move around, but you lose your actual face. Eventually, Facebook wants to develop super realistic avatars that approximate our real world selves. Or maybe at some point, AR glasses can find a way to scan us with cameras and show that part too. But that's why when you look at what I'm doing in this work app, it looks cartoonish, because it's the best thing that can happen right now. What you gain in that sense that I can look around at the table, I lose that sense of, hey, that reporter I know, what's he really looking at? Or Mark Zuckerberg, is that him? I believe it's him. Sounds like him. Actually, Mark Zuckerberg also appeared on a video chat beforehand and then beamed in as the avatar. Now, what's particularly interesting about Horizon Workrooms is this is something that Facebook's been using for the last 6 months or so. When I got to talk to Mark Zuckerberg earlier this year, he had mentioned that people at Facebook were dogfooding or using this type of VR work app to see how it functioned. This is that app. And the pitch is that it's something that's more creative and more like being in an office than just Zooming. So not something that you'd use all the time, but something that you might use if you feel like you want to get together with the team and chat a bit. Now, I've used VR theater apps and other types of experiences that have put me together with people, and it does have a kind of a transporting presence type thing. It makes me feel a little more relaxed than a Zoom. Plus, I can wear whatever I want. I mean, I was wearing cargo shorts and a crappy New York Jets shirt and nobody knew. I mean, that's kind of thing you can get away with in VR because there are no cameras looking at you. I wouldn't really want to do that all the time. But it points out a kind of comfort. I don't feel like I'm being seen. I feel like I can be heard and I can still have some presence. That's a little bit different than what Zoom is like. It's not quite the same fatigue, but I felt a different fatigue, which was just having this headset on all the time. So where does this all go from here? Facebook has had great ambitions, not just in VR and AR, but in this idea of the metaverse, trying to build some sort of social glue between all of your devices so that you can work in and out of VR and in and out of maybe their future AR glasses that project holograms and other things into the real world. That stuff's not all fully here yet, but Facebook is trying to build other tools similar to Horizon Workrooms. In fact, they have this whole other app called Facebook Horizon that's a creative tool for building your own worlds with these same types of avatars. That hasn't launched yet, but it looks like Workrooms is one piece of that puzzle. I also asked Mark Zuckerberg about what about other devices, things like phones. Could you take your phone out and work on it in VR, which seems like it would be incredibly useful. Not yet, but eventually, as you can imagine, these devices are going to get smaller, more like my glasses. I think that's the goal. But the ecosystem battle is huge. You've got a lot of companies playing in the space, and they all want a piece of this puzzle and a part of your home work environment. What apps will work? Which ones will feel comfortable? And what ones will companies gravitate to? We don't know. So Facebook's pioneering something that's very interesting, but it's very early days. There are a lot of different work tools in VR, and after an hour, my eyes felt pretty tired. I needed a break, and I do a lot of VR. So obviously there's a real limit to how much you actually want to spend doing this. But Facebook's also working on bringing other people into it who aren't wearing VR headsets. Workrooms works with people who are doing video chat on computers and phones. You could send an invite link and have them hop in. We actually saw a screen where people were talking in one of those little Zoom-like grids while we were all appearing as avatars. It's one smaller step to where this future of virtual work might go. And I've been working at home for a year and a half plus. I wouldn't want to do all my work in VR, but the ability to bring my laptop into VR really changed the experience. And I hope that there are more tools that allow you to do that, to allow devices to work together, because VR can't just be on an island. And Facebook's metaverse needs a lot of hook and help from other partners too.
I think video conferencing has taken us pretty far, but I don't know. I mean, I can just tell you that as we start, planning to go back into the office, I'm not super excited about just continuing to have just this, have most meetings be over video. And what we're trying to move towards is a world where a lot of what we do is in here, and the people who can't be in here can be on video. So people can feel present that way if people aren't together in person physically. So we're focused on this. We think it's going to be a big use case for VR.